What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and this one will break down what's going on. Tesla SPY and the QQQ, talk about some very important levels, and break down why the market's reacting the way it is to some very big news. Before breaking things down about all this information, though, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And finally, don't forget about the Webull link. The offer ends very soon. If you deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 of free stocks. The offer ends in just 8 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. All right, so Tesla's up 3.15% for the day, getting a very nice bounce. In the morning, I mentioned to you guys that we might see Tesla drop a little bit more looking at the current trend and retest 255. And if that broke, we could have seen even more downside. And that's because we had some very negative news from UBS downgrading Tesla. In the beginning, Tesla was kind of weak. This actually lasted for almost an hour. It was just trading sideways, not looking too good. And then we got a very bullish piece of news that came out, and Tesla started to pump very nicely off of that. And what was the news? Well, this news came out that Tesla is going to be discussing a factory plan for a new $24,000 car with the Indian Commerce Minister. Once again, very bullish news. First off, this is showing signs that Tesla is very open to opening a new factory in India. They're talking about it. They're so into it. And on top of that, we're starting to see more talks about a much more affordable Tesla model. One of the things that we know is that Tesla has new models in store. Elon Musk was talking about this on previous investor days and also even during one of the earnings calls not too long ago. And we have some very big amounts of enthusiasm associated with this big event once we start to see the factory come out and once we see more news about it and this new model, which is going to be a game changer for Tesla. There are other companies out there which are producing cars and selling them for under $30,000 in either European markets or other markets. But here for Tesla, Tesla gets criticized for having cars which are relatively expensive. Tesla's working very hard to improve that. And I believe that they're still working on Indian plans for that reason. That's the reason why, because in India, there's going to be a lot of advantages of producing cars over there. And this could be very beneficial for them, especially if they do manage to mass produce them. Now, in my opinion, I think this is very bullish news, and this is part of why Tesla bounced. But it wasn't just that helped Tesla, it's also the overall market, because the market right now is just pumping simultaneously. The market got this nice pump and dump in the morning, but then after that, saw the market just rebound as the market is very optimistic for the next Fed rate hike and for earnings. So the market is basically betting, this is what this article is saying, that the Fed might be on their last rate hike, and the market is celebrating and very excited about that. The market's betting that this is the last rate hike of the Fed, and the Fed's going to pause completely from here on out because inflation is dropping. Another reason why the market is pumping is because the market is very optimistic and very excited with the big tech earnings. We're seeing lots and lots of enthusiasm, and the market is just so excited right now. I can't wait to see how this plays out, but I just want to warn everyone that we have to still be careful because big tech earnings could be capricious and who knows what's going to happen. Just know for now, the market is quite excited. There's also some big news for Apple. Apple got a monstrous pump in the morning before coming back down and just consolidating. Apple is considering raising the price of its new iPhone Pros. There's also news about it basically taking applications for a Vision Pro developer kit. And there were more talks about Apple once again continuing to grow and getting more price upgrades from other investors. So very bullish news for Apple helps the market hold up too. All this optimism associated with earnings, and also because the market thinks that the Fed may be on their final rate hike. So if that's all the case, the market just loves to pump, and that's also helping Tesla moving forward. The Dow has been just continuing to go on for its 11th day up, 11 days in a row. The Dow is just pumping, pretty insane stuff. That's the biggest rally since like 2017. Energy is also once again leading the way up with the sector up over 2%. And we're just continuing to see strength in the markets. Now let's talk about the charts, what's going on with them. So as you can see for Tesla, it's going up just a tiny bit, but overall the trend is very strong. It looks very nice. Here are some important levels to watch for. Now, let me also mention that in the morning, we did get this kind of like pump and dump, like I was thinking in the very beginning for the first like half, about 45 minutes to 1 hour. But then the market got a very monstrous bounce because of lots of bullish news. And I obviously couldn't really see the news coming before it came out. And sometimes things like that could happen, right? I know it's unfortunate. I know I wish I was, alert and here for you guys like every minute of the day to tell you about it. But, sometimes life happens and I have family issues and they get in the way, and also work and etc. The things I work on, I have my own business. So, like I said, I am sorry, but it is what it is. Make sure that you guys are also on top of the news on your own. It's always important to know what news is coming out. And now let's break down Tesla. What levels should you be watching for? All right. So, anyways, looking at the levels on Tesla, here are some important levels. You could see how Tesla was reacting to many of these levels very, very nicely. And we actually rejected off 270 or very close to the 270 zone. Looking at Tesla, as this thing is dropping, our next major support from where we currently are is going to be, we have some support right here now around this like 267 area. 267.25. If that fails us, then we're going to be watching 265.92. It's about 265. This entire zone right here is going to be our support. And below that, if we break it below 265, then we have like 262, which I don't really think Tesla is going to drop that hard unless we get a big drop. Now, if Tesla were to bounce up, we're going to be watching resistance around this 268 area. And if we break above that, there's 270 as our next resistance zone. We came very close to it. We're about 15 cents away from it from the high of the day. This 270 zone. Break above this 270 zone, you're going to be watching 272 on Tesla and potentially 275 after that. Now, what's happening right now? Right now, it's cooling off a little bit, just trying to correct just a tiny bit, but overall, it doesn't really matter because it still is on this very, very strong uptrend. It's been going up and up and up and up. And there's a lot of enthusiasm, good volume coming in. Lots of buyers are starting to step in again after some bullish news finally. In the morning, the news was bearish with UBS downgrading Tesla, but then this was basically just completely offset by the new news about a potential $24,000 model. So once again, awesome news that came out. And Tesla's getting very close to 268. So we're going to be watching this very carefully. Still holding up nicely. So make sure you watch support and resistance and just know Tesla's a very resilient stock. Looking at SPY, this was very similar to what I was predicting in the morning, but then it changed after that. I was anticipating that this thing would like pump and dump, and you could see this happen for the first hour. It pumped all the way up to this like 454 zone. My target was around 453.5 to 454 around that area. So it went a little bit higher than expected, but then it dumped all the way down very close to our support at this 452.69 area. We were eyeing this level, and I told you it could bounce off here, but I would expect it to be very sideways. Instead of being sideways, this thing actually pumped very, very nicely, getting back to about 455. So a little bit better than expected, getting a nice pump after time progressed. Why did this happen? Once again, Apple played a role in the morning. Tesla holding up played somewhat of a role too. Microsoft is playing somewhat of a role as it's holding up as well. But the bigger reason was because the market and energy is still pumping, and the market's anticipating some very, very strong earnings coming out. The market's very optimistic with the Fed as well, and people are very excited. So the market's optimistic, and that's part of why the market pumped the way it did. And right now, we're actually we were just testing our major support, and we're actually breaking below it. So I'm going to break down some important levels now. If we do get a rebound, hypothetically, right, and we break 455, there isn't a whole lot of resistance above 455. I mean, we could go all the way up to 456 if we were to break this very strongly. But if, as it's broken below 455, the next support was around this 454 level, we did just break below it. So the next major support closer to that is going to be very close to this 453.5 area around this zone is going to be important to watch for. And if it breaks below 453.5, this entire zone down here is going to come all the way down to about 452.69 or so if it does get a big break below that. But for now, it's still trying to hold up, not looking that horrible or anything like that. So market is still resilient, still holding up nicely. I don't really see this as the end of the world. I wouldn't necessarily be too scared. But always remember, we have big tech earnings coming. And with big tech earnings coming, this could change everything for the market. So watch these levels very carefully. Let me just note that for Apple, we're watching 192.5 right now. It's getting very close to that. That's our major support. It's been stuck between this 192.5 area. It's about 193.5. Been stuck in this range for the majority of the day, besides the first pump in the morning. It is dropping a little bit. That's part of why the market's dropping. It is playing a role in it, but it's still trying to hold up. So it's not really like tanking. The market's not tanking. It's just dropping a little bit. For the triple Q, you're going to be watching this support right over here around this 375 area. If it breaks below that, watch 375 375. I'm sorry, this was 376 is where it's trying to hold, very close to that 376 area. Then we have 375 below that. Below that, then we have 374.15. If it bounces off this 376 area, you're going to be watching it retest 376.52. And if 376.5 breaks, then we have 377.06 and then 377.5. What happened to the triple Q? We got a very, very nice pop in the morning, like I was anticipating. I was looking for 377 or so, then a big drop, and that's what happened initially. We dropped all the way down to 374, but then we got this nice bounce afterwards. And they knew, whoever was doing this, they knew that investors would be watching for 373. They intentionally got it to bounce off 374 just to screw them over. And then the market just traded sideways since. So we barely missed the gap at 373. They were tricking lots of investors. And at this point, all I could say is that now the market's going to be very determined by earnings. Earnings are going to be very huge at this point, and we're just going to be watching the levels now. I have to be as unbiased as possible and see what happens with earnings. And last but not least, for Nvidia, if you look in NVIDIA, we actually bounced off 440. 440 to 442 is my target for a bounce on NVIDIA for it to at least try to base, and that is where it based at almost exactly 440. And we came very close to our resistance at this 450 area since we did break above 444.77. So that's the level I was watching on NVIDIA, this 444.7 area as our support, and that's going to be what's tested right now. Right now, we're going to be watching this. It's very close to 445. It's just a big zone. We're going to be watching that as our support, and then resistance is going to be around this 450 area. We've been stuck here for the last couple of hours, so watch this all very carefully. And with that said, I just thank you all so much for listening. All right, so for Tesla, it's still holding up nicely. You could see Tesla try to hold above its support around this 267 area. Now it's at 268, trying to hold up. So we're going to be watching how it tests resistance. Market is still resilient, and we will see what happens to Tesla from there. But until the next video, thank you all for listening. Watch these zones very carefully, and just know that the market is quite resilient with high expectations. All right, Tesla to the moon as the long term is very bright, and peace out.